Just getting back to the U.S. Undersecretary of War's announcement yesterday, they're pausing participation in this National Defense Board. To your knowledge, when was the last time Canadian and American officials at this board met, and how dramatic do you think this pause could be on mutual defense cooperation between the two countries?
First thing, the last time, to my knowledge, is the end of 2024. So it hasn't met. It's supposed to meet biannually, but it hasn't met since then. I wouldn't overplay. It has a long heritage, but I wouldn't overplay the importance of this. Where we have many aspects of very close defense cooperation with the United States, as you know, our closest defense cooperation. I'll give you the example of NORAD, and also put this in context of enormous investments that we're making in NORAD, over $40 billion that we're making in NORAD. $8 billion. One of the first announcements I made as Prime Minister was over $6.5 billion in what's called over-the-horizon radar in Nunavut, which helps protect in hypersonic missiles and others. Investments that we're making
in order to legislate that no money can be spent in that way, but we will be asking for Republicans to take that position. And if they don't, the whole country and their districts will see exactly where they are. But we need 3 or 4 of them in order to sign the discharge petition to get it out, to block the spending of the money in this way. And then, it's a lawless situation with the administration, a lawless situation with the Supreme Court. But there might be federal district courts and appeals courts that are willing to take seriously the fact that this is an absolute violation of the appropriations powers of Congress. And it's also a violation of Section 4 of the 14th Amendment, which says that no federal dollars should be going to pay for the debts of insurrection and rebellion against the United States.
Right. It was important enough to put that exact clause in the Constitution. So important was it not to have this happen. You had mentioned that we need 3 or 4 Republicans on board. Is there any indication that any Republicans have an appetite for this? And I ask that especially in light of the fact that Bill Cassidy just lost his primary, that Thomas Massie may very well be on the verge of losing his primary. And so this is kind of a shot across the bow by Trump that if you defy him, even on an issue where Republicans kind of coalesced around, like Thomas Massie only broke with Trump on Epstein. So the notion that he's getting punished now for being consistent on that issue is obviously absurd, other than the fact that really the ultimate goal has to just be blind deference to Trump. All of that is to say, is there any appetite among Republicans that you know of to really defy Trump and sign on to this effort to block this allocation of spending?
Well, you saw what just happened in Louisiana, and you see what's going on in Kentucky. Trump comes down like a ton of bricks on anybody who departs 2 centimeters away from his absolute autocratic rule. But then there are also some Republicans who've got to be listening to independents and Democrats. Otherwise, they have no prayer of getting elected. Look at
Right.
Brian Fitzpatrick in Pennsylvania. And people should be saying to him now, will you sign on to a discharge petition to get a bill out of the House of Representatives to block this outrageous, illegal, unconstitutional expenditure of money? And he can't get away with saying, there's not going to be a bill. There will be a bill. Will you sign it or will you not? Your constituents want to know. Any Republican, my friend Kevin Kiley from California, he's running as an independent now, left the Republican Party. Will he try to do everything in his power to block this outrageous spending of money for insurrectionists? So people in those districts have got to put pressure on them now to take the position.
Would this create a precedent? And I ask this because, Republicans may be in a position where there's a Democratic president. What if he or she decides 4 years from now that, why not create a $500 billion slush fund using the Trump precedent and fully fund Planned Parenthood from now until the end of time? Fund the NAACP, fund every town for gun safety, fund any pro-democracy or left-wing priority, and use the Trump precedent. Is that what it would create? Or is it just, that he's relying on this idea that judges will defer to him?
If they can get away with it, then that does open the door to it. He does think that he's got the judges in his pocket like a mob boss. But look, this is not his first slush fund. I mean, let's be clear about it. The Board of Peace is nothing but a global slush fund for Donald Trump. He took $1.5 billion from the State Department. That was money that was set aside for disaster relief around the world. He gave it to the Board of Peace. He took $1 billion from the Saudis. He took $1 billion from the United Arab Emirates, took $1 billion from the Qataris. I don't know how much he's got in there now. We don't know. Is it public? Is it private? Is it not for profit? Is it profit? Is it international? We don't know anything other than he is chairman for life. He has decreed it, and he controls who's going to be on the board. And with his $1.7 billion slush fund, courtesy of the American taxpayers, that will be run by a committee that reports exclusively to him for people who he feels were victims of, quote, weaponization of the Biden Justice Department. We'll tell you what, if somebody thinks their rights were violated, they can go in and sue. You know who did that? Michael Flynn. He lost in court, and yet the Trump DOJ just gave him $1.25 million. Yeah. The same thing with Carter Page. He wasn't able to get anything, any satisfaction in court because these people don't have a cause of action. Their rights weren't violated. They weren't damaged in any way. And yet now Trump is just giving them all the money. And it's going to be the same with the rioters and the insurrectionists and the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, and on and on. It's to pay for his private militia. So they've got some money.
What do you make of the fact that Donald Trump came into office pretending to be this populist champion? He was talking about helping the forgotten American, the little guy, talking about housing and rent and groceries and eggs. Comes into office, first thing he does is cut health care, then food assistance, raise the cost of everything through his trade war. Now gas is nearly the highest it's ever been as the result of this Iran war. No money to fix any of those things, but apparently there are just endless funds for ballrooms and Qatari jets and renovating the Rose Garden and building arches and redoing the reflecting pool, and now a $1.7 billion slush fund for his insurrectionist pals. How do you make sense of the fact that there's no money for any of the things he actually campaigned on, but endless sums of money when it comes to his own pet projects?
Because he told us last week, he said literally, I don't care about the finances of the American people. He doesn't care that people are suffering under his ruinous illegal tariffs, that people are suffering with $1.50 more you got to pay for a gallon of gasoline because of his illegal, unconstitutional, disastrous war in Iran. He doesn't care. I mean, he barely cares about anybody outside of his family.
Québec, garantissant des activités durables et à faible émission de carbone qui renforceront la trajectoire du Canada vers la carbone neutralité. Et le projet sera mené en partenariat étroit avec les peuples autochtones, notamment les Atimakè de Manawan. You know, 2 weeks ago, the head of the International Energy Agency stated that Canada had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity because we are a stable and reliable partner in a world that's anything but. We can supply the minerals and the energies to countries that are battered by fears for their supply chains. The window's short. That window will close. So that's why we're seizing it today. Le Canada, le Québec est toujours rempli des bâtisseurs. Et à ce moment charnière de l'histoire, nous sommes une fois de plus fidèles à cet héritage. Nous sommes maîtres chez nous. Nous bâtirons Saint-Michel-des-Saints fort pour bâtir un Canada fort pour tous. Et ça ne fait que commencer. Et avec ça, la pluie arrêtée, on peut avoir des questions.